Welcome back, boys. Today we have one from Ray Like Sunshine. Gen Z Career Apocalypse. Let's check it out.
Welcome back to the no good, very bad, terrible, horrible side of the internet. The other one. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Also, don't worry, I am not wearing a full suit. Can someone tell me what's up with the Gen Z job market today? Oh, I am that someone. Okay, this is what's up with the Gen Z job market today. Gen Z cannot find jobs. The unemployment rate for Gen Z is almost twice the national average. Everyone says that there are more jobs out there than ever. Yet everyone I know who is struggling trying to find a job right now, for the life of them can't even get a call back despite networking, cold emailing, and entering all their information onto company online portals twice. Please enter your information below. Why did you make me give you my resume in the first place? I don't know what the is happening with employers these days, but judging from both the experiences of people online and people in my own life who are struggling through it, we all seem to be sharing the same canon event of trying to jump into boiling water and then being told, oh, you actually don't have enough experience to jump into this boiling water. Now, I know it may be a bit naive for a YouTube commentary creator to be talking about the job market, but I promise you, I very recently had the same struggles as all of you did. And I swear, I'm not out of touch. Still got about 2 years till that happens. So I actually graduated during the pandemic, and it actually took me 6 months and over 800 job applications to get my first job out of college. And that job was essentially what amounted to data entry. At the time, I thought 800 was an absolutely insane number of applications.
800. But I hear in the US, it's really fucking bad.
To go through before actually finding a job. And so to hear that 800 is actually on the low end of what some people are experiencing, I'm just here to answer, what happened to us?
3, they're expecting unreasonable salaries. Like they think that they go to school for 4 years and come out with a degree and then they automatically start making 100K.
3 out of 4 managers hate working with Gen Z, and here's why. It's so bad that 27% of employers have fired the employee within the first month. Article from where this comes from states that most Gen Zers lack motivation, effort, and get easily offended.
Statistics. Do you know what percent of Gen Z workers claim they experience burnout at work? Not 20%, not 40%, not 80%, not 90%. 98% of you experience burnout.
Okay, so we're having trouble in the job market because employers think we're lazy, we're too entitled, and we're all depressed. Kind of sounds like my cat, who actually just moved in with me. Minus the depressed part. He's actually very fat and happy. And so today I'm here to answer a bunch of questions. Questions like, are Gen Z workers actually just worse than other demographics? Or is the bias against Gen Z just an effect of the changing times and culture that we have within the workplace? Are the people criticizing Gen Z just straight up wrong? And is it weird to slot a sponsor part right as I'm about to get into the meat of the video? The answer to the last one is... Thought the ad was going to be a little longer. Just gotta finish this text. Okay, cool. What's up?
Just leaving in the middle of the shift without telling anyone, or just saying, well, I'm just never going to show up to work again. I don't like it. On behalf of all of your coworkers, get tell somebody. Say, hey, you know what? This isn't working out. I'm not coming back. Or give a 2 weeks notice. Something. But whatever you do, don't just not show up.
See, I can understand from an employer's point of view why it could be frustrating for an employee to just not show up and quit without a notice. That being said, when you get laid off, does your work give you a 2-week notice? Do they give you any notice at all? And you know what? I think we should be treating terrible jobs like terrible first dates by enforcing boundaries, making sure they pay their fair share, and ghosting the fuck out of them. Look, all I'm saying is at least when someone ghosts me after a date, they don't also take my paycheck, my health insurance, and frankly, a piece of my already dwindling sanity.
For the 4th time, the 4th Gen Z worker we have hired at my job has not shown up. Second we get them done with training, because it takes about a month or two to go and learn all the systems, the computer equipment, the machinery, everything.
4 people quit. If it happens once, it's like, okay, it happened once. Or if it happens 2 times, then like a pattern is starting to come. 4 times? I don't know. I would look at yourself, at the company. Like, what is the company doing that is making 4 people just leave?
Thing we got at this place. When we finally get them trained up to where they can be on the schedule, they just up and never call anybody again and never show up again.
I think there's this old Chinese proverb that translated into English goes, if someone smells like dog shit, then they probably stepped in dog shit. If everyone smells like dog shit, then you should probably check your own shoe. Confucius. If you have 4 Gen Z workers all suddenly up and leaving, the work conditions at your company are probably just bad. That means the people who left would literally rather be unhoused than work at your company. I mean, he mentions that the work is backbreaking and that the shifts are 12 hours even on weekends.
So instead of having my normal 12-hour shift day, I'm looking at about a 16, 17-hour shift.
And it's not like it's a bad job.
It's almost as if they weren't transparent at all during the onboarding process. Yeah, this is not what I signed up for. And I think it just goes to show how out of touch a lot of these people can be when talking about Gen Z. It's just a complete lack of self-awareness and self-reflection, which are 2 major areas of improvement for our next guest, not actually a Dr. Phil.
You say right now you just won't hire Gen Z employees.
No, we don't. It's been a nightmare with 95% of the ones that we have hired.
Were you ever fired?
Oh, yes, sir. I've been fired.
Yeah, what for?
Oh, I had just not coming to work once. You know, I was in my 20s and fresh out of the military and just kind of decided to do it my own way.
So let me get this straight. You yourself, when you were younger, was literally fired for not showing up to work. And yet you were still given the same opportunities that led you to become a successful businessman. But now that you are a successful businessman, you now actively choose not to give those same opportunities to people who are literally in your position. Why is it that you're allowed to make the same mistakes that younger generations are making, but we aren't? This really seems just more like a young person problem and not a Gen Z problem. Because you for sure know that this guy's bosses were probably saying the same thing. Oh, you don't want to work a 12-hour shift? Back in my day, I didn't complain a single time where I did 14-hour shifts in the coal mines. Oh, you don't want to work in a coal mine for 14 hours? Back in my day, I didn't complain at all when I was pulling 24-hour shifts in the factory at 6. This sucks ass.
Eric, you had one that showed up dressed like Harry Potter posting videos.
They were doing Harry Potter TikToks. Yep, I can't make this up. And then they told me they were working.
Okay, first of all, it's called marketing. Wouldn't expect a mudbug like you to know that. Second of all,
Free marketing.
at least he showed up to work.
Not coming to work once.
They then, of course, have to hit the old adage of internet bad.
And you've seen it.
Personally, I think it boils down to obviously how they're raised, and right now this generation is being raised by the internet.
They're raised by the internet? No, we're raised by you. It wasn't the internet that packed our lunches or bought us phones or enforced healthy boundaries on screen time. It was you. And considering the fact that the internet is literally 50% we'd all be gooners by now if that was actually the case.
What do you think his go-to was?
Okay, maybe have a point. At one point, they bring in a Gen Z healthcare worker and have a 4-on-1 team deathmatch with her, which really pissed me off because this is clearly not skill-based matchmaking and was completely unfair. For the full.
I'm expected to be cross-trained without any bump in pay. I'm expected to cover for people who, quite frankly, they decide when and if they want to come to work. And so no, I'm not going to overextend myself and bend over backwards for companies who don't take all the little nuances of being an employee of theirs into consideration.
I mean, I'm a serial go and above and beyond person because it's where it's gotten me in my life and in my career. And did I always get paid for it? No, but what I value more is my integrity as who I am as a person.
Do you know what I value? Paying my bills.
Doing the least, doing the bare minimum does not represent corporate America or corporate women, or certainly Black women in corporate America. How would you know if you've never tried to go above and beyond?
I have tried it.
And it's failed you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, corporate has failed me.
So the problem is there's something called paying your dues.
Again, instead of making us pay our dues, how about you help me pay my bills? And I think this is a huge reason why Gen Z is so disillusioned with the current job market right now. The current old guard are still arguing for paying your due before actually getting paid. And unfortunately for us, inflation doesn't really wait for us to pay our dues. It just wants you to pay.
Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man?
And that's if you can actually find a job, which today feels less like hunting for a job and more like getting hunted by a job. The amount of hoops that some companies are asking their applicants to go through is asinine. Write a short poem using these words: giraffe, cacophony, and giggles. Okay, here you go. Giraffes are long. My giggles are too. But not for this crap, because holy you. It's not hard to go online and find job openings that are requiring advanced degrees and pay close to minimum wage, or have thousands of applicants just hours after it's posted. And it makes it all the more frustrating when you have creators like this popping up in your feed and gaslighting you into thinking that everything is fine.
People are lying to you about
This has to be like rage bait or something.
the job market. This is actually a great job market. There's record low unemployment. So why is everyone saying the job market's so bad? Way too many people competing for the same handful of jobs. That's part of it. And then people have really gotten lazy in the way that they're applying to these jobs.
Are you actually a spatula? Let's talk about unemployment, by the way, which as of recording this video is 4.1% or 7.9% for Gen Z. I'm going to dig deep and fall back on my background of being a econ and accounting major and take a look to see if that 4.1% actually is indicative of a healthy job market. What exactly is not included in that 4.1%? If you've applied to thousands of postings and you decided to take a break from job applications, you are not in that 4.1%. If you were a six-figure engineer who is laid off and now you have to DoorDash to pay rent, you're not in that 4.1%. Not that there's anything wrong with doing DoorDash, but going from Mang engineer to DoorDash is probably not indicative of a healthy job market. And if you work in a job that pays so little that you have to decide between utilities and food, you are not in that 4.1%. So yes, technically, the unemployment rate is 4.1%. But as we can all see, that is definitely not a good measure of economic prosperity. The actual percentage of people who are either working jobs that pay under $25,000 per year or are unemployed is actually closer to 24%. I thought this whole entire time we were just numbers to them. It turns out we're not even that. And this isn't even touching the insane attitude that a lot of managers today have about work culture. I found this one LinkedIn post talking about a company power hour. This morning we launched the Just Eat Power Hour. Our colleagues told us while in lockdown, they were on back-to-back calls and found it difficult to take a break away from their screen. That's not how we roll. So we introduced Power Hour. Oh, nice. So we get an extra hour on top of our lunch break to do what we need to do. Right? Is this in addition to the lunch break? This is an hour to be away from the screen. You can be writing your to-do list, having lunch, going for a walk, exercising. You choose. This is literally a rebranded lunch break. No. Actually, this is great. I have been inspired. I will now allow my researcher to use the toilet rather than the company provided bucket I'd leave in their cubicle. When you are 22 and in your new job, throw yourself to work. Eat well, stay fit, but put in 18 hours a day for at least 4 to 5 years. That early, worship the work. The flex you build in the first 5 years of your career carries you for the rest of it. Oh, at least you have your work to flex, because you certainly wouldn't be flexing anything else. Working 18 hours a day and staying fit and healthy are mutually exclusive things. And I think I can actually speak on this from experience. When I was doing a summer internship at an accounting firm, I was roommates with someone who was also entering that summer, except he was doing it at an investment bank. If you don't know what investment bank work culture is like, this man was an intern working 16 hours a day, up to 6 days a week. On move-in day, he had a six-pack. In 10 weeks by move-out, he had gained 20 pounds just from the stress and inability to eat healthily. But I don't know. He was only working 16 hours a day. Maybe if he followed this guy's instructions and worked 2 more every day, he'd probably still have a six-pack.
You guys are spending your Sunday nights watching grown men fight over a ball. I'm making cold calls and catching up on emails. How to win Zig when everyone else zags.
If I'm trying to enjoy my Sunday night and I get a single mother cold call,
you know, we have some great deals on
trace the call, Siri.
Today, if you know what I'm talking about, you know, and you seem like you know someone who knows about shit in their ass. So, you know, I thought at a 10 p.m. on a Sunday. So, but oh, hold on, someone's at my door. No.
Guess you should have zagged.
Hey yo, Gen Z, quick question. Are y'all having sex? Because it doesn't really seem like y'all are having sex. Or doing anything fun, for that matter. I don't have a ton of anecdotal data about this, but the data that I do have suggests that y'all don't like to go out, don't drink, don't do drugs, and don't really have sex. You can be an overthinking, anxious adult the rest of your life. Your 20s are for fucking up.
Yeah, so we can't find jobs, and even when we do, we're overworked and underpaid. So, with what money are we going to buy drugs with? Maybe if 70% of my pay didn't go to rent and the other 30% went to groceries that I need to live, I can buy some nose beers, Lauren. Anyway, that's the only reason I don't have sex. That's the reason. But that's not to say Gen Z doesn't have any issues when they do make it into the workforce. For example, like that one girl that got fired because she went into the office on her first day in an office siren uniform.
Hey.
Yeah, so I was trying to find the original video by searching office siren in TikTok. Unsurprisingly, all I got was porn. So, in fact, upon further review, there actually isn't an original video. The whole drama stemmed from a single comment on a single random video. So much like all the other complaints with Gen Z in the workforce, this one is probably fake and made up. That being said, let's try to not normalize this. Let's dress business casual and not let's get down to business, because it's just making everybody think that this is what we all dress like in the office, and we're already having a tough time as it is. And to add to our misery, a while back there was also this trend of tech influencers showing off a day of their work.
A day in my life working in tech. I started my morning with a hot yoga class, although of course on my way out the door, somehow the handle to my closet broke, so I couldn't even get my yoga mat. I then made the mistake of scootering into work because I didn't want to walk in the rain, but honestly I think walking would have been less painful because with the wind chill, my hands were literally frozen. I was actually so cold that I made Blake warm my hands up for like 10 minutes because I couldn't feel my fingers. But there was a really cute dog in the office today, so that helped make things better.
This is actually one of the more tame ones I've seen, but it still made me go, maybe you shouldn't have posted this. Maybe that wasn't a good idea.
I then had another team meeting to talk about our sales strategy for the year, including quotas and comp, always fun stuff. And then I had some time to actually get work done, which is very unusual because I'm usually in meetings all day.
Oh, it's unusual for you to actually be able to get your work done? Okay. Shut the fuck up. This is not me being angry. This is legitimate legal advice.
Hey guys, welcome to a day in the life of a Googler in New York City. Before I head up for breakfast, I get out Milo's office bed and his office toy. First, I need a coffee. The free coffee is seriously one of my favorite perks at Google, and I take a minute to appreciate our beautiful office views. After that meeting ends, I have a coffee chat, so I head up to the rooftop because the weather was nice. A little OOTD. Then I had more back-to-backs until around 5 p.m. that day.
If you had a job that paid you 6 figures and all you did was play with dogs, grab snacks, and be in quote-unquote meetings all day, why would you tell people about it? That's a dick move. This is like if you were robbing a bank and getting away with it, and then you decide to go and tell everyone how cool it is to rob a bank. Like, replace the word a bank with Google And that is literally what is happening.
I had another meeting after this one, so I head back down to the MK, grab a LaCroix and an espresso, and also do a little snack tour to see what we had today.
Look, I don't think there is anything inherently wrong with benefiting at the expense of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. But posting these for everyone to see not only doesn't do anything for the rest of Gen Z, but this exercise of trying to seek external validation for your cushy ass job is actively harming the rest of your generation. If the perception of Gen Z is that we are lazy and overpaid, videos like this kind of prove their point. Yeah, this video is way longer than what I'm used to. Look, I know that a lot of what I've said today comes off as doomer and extremely negative. And going into this, that is really not the attitude that I wanted to carry this with. And while I am joking for a lot of this video, there are serious structural issues with the job market right now. It may not be the reality for all of Gen Z or even most of Gen Z, but there are people legitimately struggling out there. So I want to offer you a different perspective, a vision for a future, nay, a glimpse into the inevitable epoch of when Gen Z finally take over the economic reins. Can you imagine a world where we all go into the office only if the vibe is right, and where it's acceptable to dap up your boss, where it's totally okay to end an email with anything like slay or period or I want to kill my... Like, what if we did have a world where everyone understood the struggle of rising prices and compensated people fairly? What if we didn't have to pay our dues, but we were entrusted as capable and adaptable employees who could be counted on to finish your work on time no matter where we were? That is our future. That is our inevitability. And that is what we have to look forward to. And for those of you who are still on the job hunt, you've probably heard this a million times by now, but try not to be discouraged. Yes, things seem bleak right now, and it seems like no matter how much effort, blood, sweat, and tears you put into it, you just seem to be getting nowhere. But you're not getting nowhere. You're still learning with every single application, with every single interview. You are still learning every time. It's just a tough time right now. But if you keep putting in that effort, great things are going to happen. Anyways, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna get this tie off me now. How do you...
Yeah, this one showed a little bit of how bad it is in the US to find jobs. Older generations worsens the world. Also older generations. Y'all just ungrateful. Yeah. This is actually a great job market, followed immediately by acknowledging there are way too many people competing for the same handful of jobs. You can't make this shit up. Yeah, we're going more towards like gig economy. Like stable jobs are... That's like a luxury now. Shit. Anyway, boys, I see you guys on the next one. Recommend me some stuff in the email. Want me to check something out. Anyway, boys, I see you.